story. I want you to listen carefully. I'm giving you a phoneme. I want you to take out your whiteboards. You can now take your cover off. And I'm giving you the phoneme. You're going to write the grapheme, or the letter or letters that correspond. The first sound is K. I want you to show me 3 ways to make this sound.
Is C, K, and C, K.
Hold up your whiteboards. Nice job, boys and girls.
I am not smarter than a second grader.
I know, she was just thinking I'm failing already.
All right, we'll just do one more. The next one is A.
Is you.
Show me your whiteboards. Nice job. Very good. You can erase your whiteboards, put your covers back on. Remember, this is a learning tool. We're not playing with these.
No smelling them.
This is no fun.
Okay, I am going to take you through the blending drill. Okay, during the blending drill, teachers use a blending board app to display words for students to read. So I'm going to point and say the sounds, then blend the sounds together to read the word. This is just me, watch. At, cat. Okay, now we're going to do some together, ready? Ick, sick. Nice job with that CK. We learned that yesterday. Ick, pick. Ack, pack. At, pat. Nice job with that blending drill. Now you're ready to learn your new concept. Okay, I need 3 hands. Okay, a consonant digraph is when a consonant digraph is when 2 consonants come together to make one sound. You have already learned about a consonant digraph. Just use a little scrolly down thing. Keep going. You're going the wrong way. Okay, you learned about CK. When C and K are together, they make one sound, like at the end of the word duck. The 2 consonants S and H have their own sound, S and H. But when S and H come together, they make one sound, sh, like at the beginning of the word sheep. The consonant digraph SH can come at the beginning of words like ship and shop. Or the consonant digraph SH can come at the end of words like fish and wish. To make the sh sound, put your teeth together and round your lips like this. Pull your tongue back toward the back of your mouth. Be sure your voice is off, because this is a quiet sound. The sh sound is a continuous sound that can be stretched out. Watch me. Shh. You try. Shh. Okay, now let's try reading some words with SH. Watch me first. I'm going to say the sounds and then put them together to make the word. Shh. Ed, shed. Okay, now let's practice some words together. Ready? Say the sounds and then blend them together to read the word. Sh, up, shop. Nice job. Sh, shut. Sh, shell. Sh, shock. Nice job with that CK again. Oh, I see SH at the end of this word. Ish, fish. Ish, dish. Nice work. Now I'm going to show you how to spell some words with SH. show you how to spell the word ship. So I'm going to say the word, and I'm going to count the sounds. Ready? Ship. Sh. Ip. There are 3 sounds in ship, and I'm going to use my Elkonin boxes to help me spell that word. So I'm going to make 3 boxes. Sh. Ip. Sh is S-H. I is I. P is P. Now I write the word all together. S-H-I-P. Ship. Okay, now take your cover off your marker. Insert them. We're going to do some together. Okay. The word is shock. What's the word?
Shock.
Shock. Let's count the sounds. Ready? Sh. Ah. 3 sounds, so make 3 boxes. And say the sounds while you do it. Sh. Now we'll put in the graphemes. Sh is S-H. That goes in 1 box because it's 1 sound. Ah is O. Uh-oh, I know 3 ways to spell k. But I remember that when I hear k at the end of a word right after a short vowel, I need to use CK. Now I'll put the word all together underneath. S-H-O-C-K. And read your word.
Shock.
And hold it up so I can see it. Make sure it looks like mine. Okay, erase your board. 3, 2, 1. Put your cover on your marker and put your materials away. And we are finished with day 1 of the lesson.
However,
Moving on to day 2.
we want you to get a feel for an entire lesson, so we're going to dive right into day 2. I'm going to do my part here, sitting, so I can use my hands to do my part. Day 2, can I borrow the clicker? Yes. Thank you. You don't want me clicking? Okay, so day 2 has 4 parts. We're still working on SH says shh. The first part of day 2 is just a quick review of the concept. So typically that part that Erin was working on would have taken the students 15 minutes. We cut it down for you today. But we'll start day 2 with a quick review. Remember, 2 consonants coming together makes 1 sound is a consonant digraph. We know CK says k, and we learned yesterday that SH says sh, like at the beginning of sheep. We're going to dive right into our word work to practice reading and spelling some words that have that SH says shh. For this activity, you're going to need your magnet board. Okay, so here we go. To use your magnet board, I'm going to tell you a word to build. You're going to say the sounds and take the graphemes that match those sounds. We're going to build the word. Okay, we are going to build the word shin. Say the sounds. Shin. Oh, I hear that digraph. I'm thinking about my 2 consonants that come together to make that sound. I hear I says Okay, show me your board. We built the word shin. Make yours look like mine. Excellent job with that digraph. SH says shh. Now we're going to change 1 letter. We're going to change the N to a P. And then we're going to read our new word. So change your N to a P, and now let's say the sounds. Ship. Ship. Excellent job building that word ship. Let's make the word shop. I should hear you saying the sounds in the word shop. I notice I'm hearing that O says ah. Our word is shop. Show me your work. Excellent job. They all look like mine. Now, we're going to change shop to shock. Now, I'm thinking I have 3 ways to make that k
sound. This is at the end of my word after a short vowel. I'm going to use the digraph. CK. I'm changing my word to shock. Make sure yours looks like mine. Excellent job. Okay.
See, I felt like that should be real.
Yeah, thank you. Great job changing that shock. K is one of the ways that we make the k sound. Remind your brain that when we hear the k sound at the end of a word after a short vowel, we use the CK digraph. Excellent fix. Good for you. All right. So I'm going to give you 10 to put your letters back in the correct spots and put your materials away so that we can learn and review some of our heart words. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Great job with word work. Let's move on to our irregular words. An irregular word, as you all know, are our heart words. These are words that are not easily decoded because part or parts of the word don't follow the typical phonemic pattern or the grapheme phoneme correspondence. So, for example, the word said, you hear the sounds said. You expect the S to say s. You expect the D to say d, but you are expecting to be an E, and in this word it's an AI. So that's the heart part that the students have to learn and remember in their heart. So let's practice one. Okay, readers, we're going to learn the word want today. What is the word?
Want.
Excellent job. Let's count the sounds that we hear in the word want. Excellent. Listen to me say it. Say it with me. Good. Say it on your own. Excellent job. This word want has 4 sounds. What do you expect to make the w sound? Yeah, w is W. So that one's expected, and normally we would have this not in projector mode, but that's okay. And we would move that little box aside, and you would see a little blue square under the W. It's an expected grapheme phoneme correspondence. Thank you, ma'am. What letter do we know makes the sound normally we expect. Yeah, we do. Excellent job. We do expect it to be an O, but in this one it's an A. That's the heart part of this word. The A is saying ah. What do we expect for
And
You got it. What do we expect for T? Yeah, those parts are all expected. So the one part of this word that is a hard part is the A making the ah sound. This is the word want. What is the word?
want.
You got it. So we're going to spell this word on our dry erase board. You get to uncap your marker. That's all right. We're going to keep on trucking. You get to uncap your marker, and as you spell this word, I want you to say the sounds. Ah, t. And you're writing those letters to match. Ah, t. Okay, show me your work. Excellent job. Let's practice it again. Can you write it really tiny as you say the sounds and blend? Ah, t. Okay, show your work. They're teeny tiny letters. Oh, they're so teeny tiny I can barely see them. Excellent job. I'm going to give you 3 to erase. And 3, 2, 1. Okay, great. So that is the heart word or irregular word. It's step 7 in the lesson plan. And step 8 is where students apply the knowledge that they've learned to connected texts. This part's really important so that students can see what all their hard work is building up to. This is going to help them be readers and read books and things like that. So the connected text, we are not going to make you do this part of it today, but we're just going to show you that students would read at the sentence level with teacher support. They would also write at the sentence level with teacher support. And finally, students would read a decodable text, so a passage, and here is an example of the passage that goes with the SH lesson 45. You can see that there are a lot of words that contain that SH. These passages only contain patterns that students have learned up through lesson 45. So the text will be completely decodable for them. It also includes any of those heart words that we've gone over and practiced. So students will work on that with teacher support. They're not expected to read this independently. And then students will be done with day 2 of the lesson. So you did it. You completed an entire U-Fly lesson. Great job. You're going to want to give your neighbor a roller coaster thumbs up. Great job. And that is pretty much it. All of these U-Fly lessons have these slides already created for teachers, scripted lessons so that the language is very explicit. And we're really excited. We're so grateful to have this program. We're really excited and grateful for our teachers and the work that they've put in to learn this new program and set up their classrooms. And we just can't wait to see the positive effect that it has on our students. So thank you. Are there any, one more quick, questions or comments?
What grade level?
So the U-Fly Foundations program is created for kindergarten through 2nd grade, and we are also, materials have been purchased for our 3rd grade teachers as well. And so we are implementing it in K through 3 this year.
And I assume, I mean, it's so interactive. The kids must love this. I mean, are you getting good reaction?
Oh, we love it so much. So
Yeah.
the 3 of us used it with our small reading groups
Yep.
last year, and the students loved it so much. We love it. It's very engaging. It is very scripted, as you can see, so students they know what to expect.
Yep.
There's no question. They know how to get their materials, and it flows really nicely. And yeah, they really love it. Any
So
other?
I guess I have a question. So how does it work with your pull-out groups doing the same thing as the classrooms now?
Yeah,
how
that's
do
such a
you
great
guys do
question. So we won't do exactly the same thing as the classrooms now, but these lessons come with, so the word work list that we did, you changed ship to shop. There's extra lists, alternative lists that the teachers could use in small group or we could use when we pull small groups. There are different word lists, there's different blending lists. So once we complete our district assessments and we target student-specific needs and their specific areas of needs, when we take them to our small group, instead of teaching this whole group type of lesson, we are going to really be narrowing in specifically on just the things that students specifically need in small group.
And does this curriculum also teach like the actual like how to print letters? So like a kindergartner who might have very little
It
writing
does. I've
skills,
done a lot of
how does that work?
Good catch.
Good thing.
that's a good
It does include a letter formation component. The reason that you didn't see that is because we're on lesson 45, which is kind of far into the scope and sequence, but in lessons 1 through 34, you'll see the letter formation. There's a little video that goes with each one and explicitly teaches how to form the letters. There's even a little script that goes with each letter to explain exactly how to form it.
Thank you. This is really exciting. I love it.
Any other questions?
I just think this is really great. It's giving kids, instead of having to memorize what words look like, which is I think what a lot of kids end up doing, if they see a word they don't know, it gives them the tools to kind of figure out what it is. I think that's great.
It's like a completely different way of looking at, putting the sentences together and the words together, so it's great. It's
Yes.
exciting. I'm glad we have it in our district, so it's great.
Well, thank you so much. We really appreciated being able to come and share this with you tonight.
Well, thank you so much for being here, and it was a great demonstration. I really appreciate it.
Nice job, guys.
I felt like I was going to fail, but
You did
Now,
great.
do we get to keep these to play with, or?
Do you want us to collect at the end? Do you want us to collect everything here?
yeah, you don't have to
You
stay.
guys want to go home, don't you? Thank you.
Or- Sorry,
Participating.
further away, I'm sorry. Excellent.
Practice up and
Yeah.
show us.
Thank you.
Any other supplies?
Good job.
Sorry, you're stealing.
Next, under my report,
Yes.
is the revision of the school committee goals that you all had started working on a few meetings back. coincidentally was Susie's last meeting, and I know she shared with you all her edits at that point, and I think you all have shared your additional edits. So the document that you have in front of you are the edits to date on the goals that were circulated.
So does anybody have any thoughts on the changes that were made so far?
Very good. The only other thing I was curious about, the part that I took from Milton, I know would need to be tailored a bit, but do we track AP scores?
Yep, so you all will get an achievement report, I think we said October 3rd was the,
Because I figured that could be
Yeah.
in there too, another.
Right, so the only feedback I have for you, I know that you just legit copied and pasted
Yeah.
it. We don't have an active strategic plan right now, so that's some of the work you all need to decide if you want to dive into moving forward. But I do think having some sort of goal associated with some of the benchmark data here is
Mhm.
absolutely doable. It doesn't tie necessarily to a
Yeah.
strategic plan.
Yeah. Just more like achievement tracking and.
Right, I think you might want to consider something smaller to start with, maybe, taking a look at some of the literacy initiatives that we have and targeting your achievement goal towards K through 2 literacy might be a good way to kind of start that. This would be the first time that a goal would be centered around actual test data. And so I just caution you that when you do that, we can do all the right things, teach all the right stuff, and the kids are still the kids. So you just have to be constantly remembering that we may not hit the target, but being able to explain what was unique with that group or with the information that helps you to better understand why the target wasn't met. But I have seen a couple of polls written in surrounding districts where there's a specific target. 42% of incoming third graders will be at this level. And I think that's a fair way to measure achievement. There's not, we've gone through this,
Right,
Patrick
so
and
many
I,
times.
a million times. There were times, maybe 10 to 12 years ago, where we tried really hard to find an achievement goal that had some sort of percentage of something.
Yep.
We wanted to be able to, so when you're talking about SMART goals, the M is measurable, and we wanted to measure in a percentage how we were doing. And it's hard, but I do think this is a good start to that conversation.
Just tracking data that we already have incoming, I guess, so it doesn't necessarily have to have like a matching number percentage, but just track, I guess, and then,
Yeah, so you'll get an
long-term.
achievement report. Usually there's 2 installments of it that we give over the course of the academic year. One is focused really on some of our MCAS data. The second has some of our S&T and advanced placement data. But I do think some of the metrics here that are being used are really elementary. The iReady, the Lexia,
Mhm.
those are lower grade levels, but we haven't necessarily shared much on that.
They're also, in the way we've been using those iReady and Lexia tools is for progress monitoring, not actually as a sort of a summative. They do have those capacities, but we have internal benchmark exams that we use for that. So we could use, there are things we could use for monitoring, for example, grade level reading. The percentage of students who are exhibiting grade level reading skills. Like, we can do some of that work, but I would probably not at the early years take a test like that and attribute too much to
Well,
it.
and that's,
The progress
yeah,
monitoring
you
is
don't
what it's
want
really
kids
for.
learning
Yeah.
for a test. So that's
Right.
where just data that we already have, how can we use that in a way to
So-
watch progress?
So teachers do that.
Yeah.
So that's obviously a great conversation to have with teachers, but they're using that data to identify strengths and weaknesses for students, to accelerate students that need to move faster into a different area,
Mhm.
and to help students that are struggling to get those skills to grade level.
Mhm.
So teachers are using that data. I'm not sure how important that is as a district-wide tool, but we could say.
Right, but I think if you are willing to just give us some time internally, we can kind of craft. some
Yeah,
of
well,
that.
that's why I
Right.
just
That's what I was gonna
copied,
ask.
I just copied and
Yeah, no,
pasted it, because it was.
just to start the
Yeah,
conversation, I
just,
get that.
Yeah. And
tailoring
so
it,
you would do something like, you would look at what the current grade level reading skills are, and then,
Right, so
and then sort of
at
craft
your
it.
level, what you're looking at is district trends, you're looking
Right.
at that type of stuff. In the classroom, the teacher is looking at far more specific data. But
Right.
I think given the opportunity, we can craft for you a goal that's at the school committee level as opposed to in the classroom.
That would be great.
Well, like for this program, it's gonna take a while to see the results of this, so it's not like we can say at the end of the year, like, oh, it's not working, or,
Oh, no, yeah.
like, it's not, like, this is gonna be 10 years down the road, really, like, to really see, like,
I think you'll
I
see
feel
We
like-
should actually,
Well, you'll
we should
that,
see
but I'm saying,
progress
like,
this year.
when it gets to be, like, the,
Yeah. I think when
I
you
don't
see
know,
the achievement
success of the
report,
program.
some of your questions will be answered. So for example, we've tracked for many years AP exams and how our students do against Massachusetts students and the nation's students, international students, how many of our students who do not present as qualifying to be in an AP class but took it anyways, how those students did. So there's a lot of data there which has helped fuel our discussion at this table about those AP programs being open, not hard and fast, you can't get in. So a lot of schools, you take an entrance exam to get into an AP class. We don't do things like that. We want as many students as possible to access that rigorous college-level curriculum for many reasons. The breadth of knowledge, the difficulty with a college-level text, just the complexity of that, all of those experiences, we think, put kids in a better situation moving into college and into some of those academic realms. So once you see that, you'll see all the MCAS data. I think you'll have a better sense of where
yeah, and that's where I'd be
where you
curious,
wanna
like,
focus.
if there's a way to take that into words.
Well, and
We'll try to
Allison,
draft it for you.
I think what you're driving at is absolutely the right thing, right? It's kind of like, sometimes doing this is so hard because we want to get super specific. We want to drill into like the finite component. And as I was reading these, I was thinking, it's almost like goals for a principal or goals for a teacher or goals for, as opposed to our goals. But I think where you're going with this is spot on, because what you're saying is strategically, right? And that's really, I think, how we have to think is strategically, what does it mean? And so, to your point, right, it may be receive achievement data at least 2 times a year, inclusive of X, Y, and Z, right? Whether it be year-on-year scoring, benchmarking, sort of that type of thing. Because what we want to know is, are the investments making a difference, right? Is the curriculum working? So I think the way you're trying to push it and elevate it is actually spot on.
Yeah, I just want to, like, I know we've, in the last handful of years, there's a lot of new, variety of
right,
things.
is it working?
Yeah, like, I mean, I know Envisions, that's, right, that's kind of.
Yeah, vision's not so new anymore.
Well, so
Yes,
that's kind of
yes.
like, looking at it like.
Right, did it make an impact on our
Yeah.
math scores or not, right?
Any other thoughts on any of our other goals? Mike? I know you had, one of your comments was to make sure that it's specific under
Well,
achievement.
I just want to make,
Yeah.
well, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
When I talked about the VOTEC thing, yeah, I believe if I'm not mistaken, the VOTEC subcommittee we have now is specifically to explore South Shore VOTEC.
Correct.
And that's mainly because that's part of their protocol or whatever to get in. But, Sue had put down something about initially, and I kind of edited it, was maybe we should also be looking into other avenues in case that doesn't happen and figure out and put some other numbers together. And I know you've called other VOTEC schools as well, but, I think we just need to explore every option to make sure that, if whatever we eventually get to town meeting, that we don't have people saying, well, why didn't you try this school? Why didn't you try it? Why can't we do it on our own? Or, if it ends up being the option. And maybe we expand the scope of that subcommittee, or just have another,
Yeah, so
something, whatever.
That regional planning committee, those words are pretty specific on the town meeting warrant for what it was formed for, and it's, the sole purpose is to explore regionalization. So that means joining another district to offer something. So if we're gonna look at, what does it cost to do something on our own, that might be something that long-range planning could take a look at, or even, some kind of overlap of the ed subcommittee and long-range
Right.
planning.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have all the numbers for everything before we go to town meeting, I believe, to have any effective argument.
I think, though, to Mike's point, though, a shorter-term goal in looking at what maybe some other avenues or some other things that are out there, Ed Sub, absolutely. I think it's very appropriate for Ed Sub to kind of be able to do. So yeah, that's a great call out.
All right,
So I had a couple of things, and like I said, I didn't email them because
yep, that makes
I
sense.
stick around the open meeting thing. So some of what we have here, I think, is super specific, right? And I think, maybe taking sort of the feedback and the thoughts and reworking it into a strategic goals document. In other words, what's the strategy around some of what we have? Achievement, I had also called out, Allison, I thought that was good. Nowhere under, and maybe it's under financial or even its own segment, would be enrollment, right? So I'd like to see something where we challenge ourselves to look at enrollment, understand what the trends are, and then understand what we can do to impact enrollment going forward. So it may be a good thing under financial. And then,
By impact enrollment, would you mean just sort of, we can't control the population, but maximize the number of students that are going to public schools as opposed to?
well, so I think, so one of the things that I'd like us to think about doing, and I think it would make a lot of sense, we spent years telling the town, no more kids, no more kids, no more kids, over 55, over 55. And the town, to their credit, they heard us, right? I mean, the local town government, we've had over 55 communities pop up everywhere. And we did it because we were busting at the seams. In the last few years, we've all now seen the enrollment trends are going down pretty significantly in the high school trend. Even on the sports, you begin to see it. So one of the things that I think would be a great idea, if we think it's a good idea, would be for us to meet with the town manager, maybe the planning board, maybe the affordable housing folks, and sort of just say to them, hey, we want kids at this point, like, green light those projects. Let's figure out how do we attract young families? What can we do to bring in young families? And it's more giving them the, hey, thumbs up, we really want that to happen. And I think meeting with them would be a really smart thing to do. So it's not a long-term thing, it's a couple of, likely 1 or 2 meetings with the right people in town government to make sure they understand we want more young families now. We have the room and encourage that kind of development.
So we have the master planning collaboration committee, and I think that's really an appropriate place. I would love for, we've already had some stakeholder meetings with them,
Yep.
but, you weren't involved at the time, but I would love for you to meet with them, and they're gonna be at the Pembroke Celebrates. They're gonna have a tent there, and they wanna take public comment.
Sure.
And that would be completely appropriate to go voice those concerns
Sure.
to,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, I think Aaron meeting with the town manager is a good idea.
Yep.
Making sure they know. I do think getting in front of planning is also a good idea. I think it's almost like the more people that know that this is sort of where we are and what our abilities are and candidly the economic need is, the better. I mean, it's like marketing, really.
yeah, definitely.
And then the other thing I noticed, I didn't see anything on was curriculum. And I'm certain that we did a lot of work years ago on curriculum integration, on understanding, we talked about AP, and our philosophy was always we were going to build and drill curriculum from the AP level right on down to kindergarten. So theoretically, any student that entered Pembroke Public Schools, the curriculum gave them the ability to get to an advanced placement class or several advanced placement classes. A lot's happened since then, including a global pandemic and, remote learning and sort of everything else, and we've all heard and read and seen achievement gaps. I think maybe something, I don't know if it's an achievement or if it's financial, but a goal to maybe support through Ed Sub, through Budget Sub, additional curriculum work within the district to understand how we have to do things differently, maybe how we have to integrate curriculum differently. We're not going to do it, but we're going to support it. I think that's really important.
That's almost like, for me at least, to know like what a wish list would be,
Yeah.
like since I don't, that's not like my like specialty, like to know for Ed Sub, like what's a wish list that's out there that, because I know I brought up that I'd like to talk about is, cursive and learning to type, like just curiosity for
Sure, I mean,
stuff like that.
we
but
share our wish list during the budget process more often than not. We talk about, exploratory language in the sixth grade. We talk about a whole host of things. But I think there's a way to formalize that in a goal. And usually it, like Patrick alluded to, lands in, focus financial resources on
Right,
that
right.
kind of stuff, because you don't all necessarily get into the curriculum with us.
But I will say, when we give a signal in the budget process that we are supportive of curriculum, teachers grab onto it. I mean, if we in this budget cycle, and it's gonna be a tough one, I mean, this is gonna be a difficult budget cycle. But if we say one of our goals is to begin to do that curriculum work and figure out how we need to integrate curriculum differently, how we have to support pedagogy differently, if we start down that process, teachers will bring ideas to these guys, right? They'll be like, hey, I saw this, I really think this can work, and you start, and all of a sudden, professional development takes up in next year and the year after, they'll be coming to you with these amazing ideas that are engaging kids and engaging students, and our teachers are excited about it, which helps recruitment, it helps retention, it helps getting the best and brightest. I mean, that's how our goals actually affect the district. It's cool to see.
if it's okay with you guys, it sounds like these are your thoughts with the stuff that Patrick has added. I'm happy to kind of write them in a way that represents school committee goals as opposed to building-based administrator goals or even my goals. And I'll share that with Sue, and we can kind of put that together for the next meeting.
That's a
Yeah,
great idea.
I
Sounds
do
great.
think there are some great ideas here, but there are some really finite action steps that aren't necessarily a school committee visionary type step. So if you let us kind of wordsmith it a little bit. I'm
That'd be
happy to
awesome, yeah.
do that.
That sounds great.
And then we'll be able to come a year from now and say, hey, did we do this or
Yeah.
not? As opposed to we'll get there and be like, we could have never done that, right?
This is whether they do it like a hamburger, like the way they write paragraphs, like that's what this
Yeah,
is.
yeah, exactly.
And by the way, Allison, pro cursive, let's get
Yeah.
cursive back, I'm all over it.
Agree on that.
Yeah, what is that?
We're gonna talk about it
How
at
much
so
handwriting
All right,
do you
all
guys
jump ahead,
No.
there'll be an update.
There's a new, I just saw it, there's a couple of places where they're bringing cursive back.
One of my sons learned it, my other son did not. So it's very
That's
interesting
how I
in my
know.
house.
Yeah,
My kids can't write, like they can't sign their passport, they like write their name.
exactly, yeah, same problem.
So it's
Yep,
like,
I'm right there with you.
So next under my report, you have just some fall sports numbers. I just wanted to clarify, that last column is a 6-year average. It's picking up 2018 as well. One of you was smart enough to do the math there and said the math here doesn't work. It's picking up 2018 as well.
So I don't have to ask questions.
No, please don't ask the question. As you can see, there is still a healthy number of students at Pembroke High School that are participating in athletics. Our percentages have been pretty stable. They've gone down a little bit this year, but it's also a little bit early. So in talking with Brian Phillips, our athletic director, we generally see larger cross-country numbers than what's here. And so he asked that I, just give you guys an update in 2 weeks. So what happens with cross-country is kids that go out for other sports that don't end up sticking with that sport after the first 2 weeks of school find their way to Greg Zappardi, the Pied Piper of cross-country, where every individual athlete is a champion, and, go on to have a tremendous experience. So I would expect that cross-country number to go up about at least 8 or 10 students over the course of the
I'm
next
going
week.
for 15.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
is golf co-ed?
So golf is co-ed, yes.
That's great. Any-
And then field hockey is also, in theory,
So
co-ed.
any sport that we offer here, if there isn't a boys team and a girls team, both genders can play on the same team.
Okay.
So field hockey, volleyball, when you get into to softball and baseball, those are two different sports. You could play on either one of them. So.
All right. Any-
Is that, Aaron, it just, some sports I'd be like, yeah, I got it, right? I mean, it might not make as big of a difference, but some of them, it can't be a contact sport.
Well, it can. So there are instances where girls play on the boys hockey team because there isn't a girls hockey team in the school.
We're not doing Whitman
No, we have a girls
Yeah.
hockey
Oh,
team, but that's an
alright.
example of other communities that don't have a girls
Right.
hockey team and don't co-op, the girls are able to try out
Oh my
for the.
God.
Right, and so, when we have tryouts for sports, the number one defining, evaluation piece is safety, the
Yeah,
safety of the
100%.
students, right? So we've had a couple of, girls come out for baseball in the past, and there's at times a safety concern there.
Yep.
So that is evaluated as part of the tryout process for them
Thank
as
you.
well.
Any other questions? All right. Excellent.
Speaking of sports and contact and hockey, each year we do ask for your approval to file a waiver for girls ice hockey at the high school. So this past winter, we had 21 girls. We graduated one senior, we had one student transfer. Based off of the interest in our current 8th grade, we'd have about 19 to 20 students, which is really where you need to be for that roster when you're talking about running 3 lines, injury, academics, that kind of thing. So with your approval, we would like to file for a waiver for 8th graders to participate in high school girls hockey.
Okay.
Move to approve the waiver for the MIAA girls hockey.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All against? It's unanimous.
Everybody
And
buckle up. You're going to wish you had your letter right in a second. So, as we talked about at the meeting on the 22nd, the policy subcommittee has embarked on the work of revising the current manual on the website. So what you have in your packet tonight for a first read is Section B. Section B has to do with school committee governance and operations, all the policies associated with that. I listed all of the current policies we have now in Section B and what the recommended action is from the subcommittee. So you can see there's a handful of them that there's no recommendation, but I just wanted this list to be part of the public record so that, 5 years from now, when we do this again, we can say, hey, wait, we did look at that. So there's a couple here that are revision, there are a few that are recode, and there's just one new policy that was part of the MASC sample set that the policy subcommittee wanted to move forward. So again, these are just first reads for you guys. You can, I think the last time, anything that was a rescind, you guys did a first read approval for, and instead of us bringing it back.
Yep, there's a lot here to review,
Right.
so,
So
I'll-
you have 2 items on here for rescission of 3.
So I have,
Is that right?
in the back, I gave you in the packet.
There's a few.
There's 6 policies to rescind, they're in your packet. BDDD,
I
BDDH,
missed that.
BGG, BIAA, BLA, and BLDA.
So
there's 6
I
to rescind.
apologize because I missed a couple of them, so I'd rather not approve the
Yep.
rescission.
Yep.
And that's my fault. When I went through the packet, I just missed it. So can we just accept it for a first read?
Absolutely.
So I'll move to accept Section B, school committee governance and operations listing and revisions as a first read.
all right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And now on to subcommittee, oh no, we just did that. Future meeting dates and topics. So do we want to list out a few that are upcoming
We should.
on the agenda?
For the,
So-
meeting dates, you mean?
Dates and topics. So
So in 10-3, we'll give you that enrollment trend that Patrick had asked for. That'll also be the achievement report. I think they kind of go together.
all right. Do we want to do like an update of the regional subcommittee, the VOTEC?
So the update I gave you all the last time was from when we had last met. We talked about meeting again in the beginning of October. So if you want to put on maybe October 17th, we can do an update. As I said the last time, the anticipation is that we won't have any additional information from the project at South Shore Tech until May of next year, as far as finances, but I'm happy to touch base, check in.
Okay. And then we were talking about doing the joint subcommittee meeting. And then, did you speak with Sabrina about that?
Oh, yeah, she's working on it on her end.
Okay. So we don't know when that's going to be.
How
All right.
often would this joint subcommittee Are you talking about with the select board?
Yes.
How often would they be meeting? Is it just a once-a-year meeting, or is it
No,
all
I would
throughout the
think-
budget season?
I don't,
So the
what
way-
was done in the past?
Yeah, the way we did it last time is, so our budget subcommittee will meet irrespective of those meetings, and then we would come together. I think we did initially once a month, but as it got really heavy into the budget formation, we met more frequently. We sort of left it as needed. And we actually did it over at Hubbamock Elementary. So, and folks come and are able to participate. What it did is it gave up a whole town sort of view as opposed to just a
Right,
school
yeah.
view, and it helped with communication. So yeah, it was monthly initially, and then it probably got to every other week as we got closer to kind of really getting into some of the nitty-gritty issues and what have you. But I'm actually wondering if maybe budget sub should meet between now and our next
Yes.
meeting.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that would be good, if, Aaron, you're okay with it, is maybe bringing a preliminary calendar
Yep.
on the 19th, budget calendar.
That's just creeping up further and further.
middle
November,
of
then it's
September.
October, now it's September.
I'm really nervous. I mean, I'm really worried about what this budget's gonna look like. So I think that if we can at least get the calendar and set the expectations, we'll be ahead of the game.
You have a question?
Okay.
Can we look at like the November and maybe like, I know we do first and third, but can we like set those just so that we have,
Yeah.
trying to plan with community activities and stuff? and having
Absolutely.
those- So,
I think that, we definitely want to do the first and third. So right now we have October 3rd and October 17th, right? And then we have November 7th and November 21st.
So the only caution I have for you is that 21st is Thanksgiving week, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That
So we
tends to
could
be difficult
potentially.
for people to meet when you
So
go
should we do
there.
like the 7th and the 14th, or the 7th and the 28th?
because the 7th would be 3 weeks from the 17th, but then we don't want to have one on Halloween, so.
Definitely not.
The 7th and
What-
28th.
Oh, it's election day, yeah, all right.
What I'd recommend maybe is, let's schedule the 7th, and then let's, as we get a little further in, talk about what we do. It's not unusual in November to have one meeting and then come right back to it in the first meeting in December, because candidly, I used to joke, we don't even go to school in November, right, because there's so many days.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I
we
think
can
that's
schedule
fair.
that and go from
So
there.
we can count on the 7th anyways.
And then December 5th and 19th. If we go far.
Let's
Sorry,
see.
Vince.
Just, sorry, Vince.
Right.
Yeah, so, I mean, are you okay with scheduling, is everyone okay with just scheduling December now, or do you want to wait until November 5th?
So we can schedule December 5th and 19th and see
December.
where we are.
All right. Okay, that's what we'll do. Okay,
Nobody's ready to go to January, Allison.
No, I hear it.
Did you-
I'm good.
Vince?
so,
The 5th and the 19th for December. Yep.
so thank you for waiting, sorry about that, if you could just state your name for the record.
Vincent Cogliano.
Thanks.
Typically, town government in Pembroke, budgeting process has always been top-down. And I don't think that works anymore. I'm not sure it ever worked. I think it got people to the mindset of, this is all we're going to get. We shouldn't even ask for any more. We want to be team players. And I believe the school committee, and whether it's the school committee, the police department, fire department, your advocacy groups, in a sense. And that the top down, I would think that you would want something better than that. And that you would want to look at the process. And Mike, you have a relationship with some of the people on the select board. I think it's time that we start looking at working with the Board of Selectmen, et cetera, so that we can, even advisory. And advisory hasn't been as important in the process as in years past either, and you've noticed that.
Yeah.
A lot of times you could go to advisory and you could get them to buy into what you were trying to accomplish, and they would become advocates with you. And now that's sort of slipped away. And we seem to be accepting now that the state gives us this much, the town manager decides this is what you're going to get, you have to live with it. And I'm not sure, and I think you agree with this too.
I do.
I think it's time now to start looking at that in a different way and giving the people of the town more of a choice. Because I think the days of Pembroke not caring about education enough to support it at a higher level of funding are gone. I think it's a way of positioning it, making the goals clear, why you want the money, et cetera, and then going forward with that. But the top-down, I just think we've become too accepting of that. And I'd like to see all of us change when it comes to that.
Point well taken. Appreciate that. I mean, that's why I'm really excited about doing a joint subcommittee meeting with the select board. I know it's not the end all for everything, but at least it's a start. So, but I agree with you.
I do think, though, Vince, that when you go through this budget cycle, and hopefully this year with the schools, you'll see it's not a top-down with us, and hasn't been for a while. It's interesting, because I completely agree with you, right? I think when you say this is the pot of money and we're just always going to do the same thing, you don't have innovation, you don't have anything new, you don't break a few eggs, right, to make the omelet in that regard. I do think one of the things we've traditionally done is actually took much more of a bottoms-up approach. Not perfectly a bottoms-up approach, but you have the principals saying, this is what I need in my school. You have the content areas and in the different department heads coming and saying, this is what I need for this component of curriculum. You have athletics coming forward and saying, this is what I need. And I can't tell you how many years that need was greater than, to your point, what we were getting in Chapter 70 or what we were going to get here, and we had to go and advocate. And I think we need to do more of that. So I do agree with you, and to the extent that we can do more of it and setting the example, I'm all for it. I think it's spot on.
I agree with Vince on that, very much so. I also think that everything I read says the state is flush with cash. We have the millionaire's tax now, which is supposed to go to education and roads. If we're ever gonna try to get more money for education through the state, now is the time. And I think we really, I think there was something on the procedures or whatever, the goals of working with the, working with our representatives more. I think we have to hold their, I guess, I don't wanna say hold their feet to the fire, but we have to get them more involved, I guess you'd say. I think Kathleen Lenatra said earlier in the spring that, that they've kind of built up a coalition of small towns or rural towns to make sure that we're being taken care of too, because every day I read about Boston Public Schools, they have a $3 billion budget this year, and they're like frittering that money away like nothing. And their school committee isn't even elected. They're appointed by the mayor. And it's just, they're getting tons of state funding. We're getting crumbs.
Yeah.
And I think it's time that, we really do. We always say it. When I started here, when I started on school committee, we said, we're gonna, keep communication open with them. I don't think we really did. I don't think so. I don't know. But I think we really need to start being, have a more systematic way.
Well, I wouldn't say we didn't do it. I just think that when people reach out to our representatives, we don't actually hear back. So that's been the problem.
Yeah.
But to that point, maybe one of our items, I hate to do this with David not here because he's our liaison, but we should have some sort of a legislative update in maybe November, just to give him some time to do it.
I might even try to do it, I might even try and do it the second week in October, because, Mike, I think you're exactly right. It's about holding our elected officials accountable to Pembroke, right? Which is our job at the end of the day. And making it clear who is accountable and who isn't, or if they all are, that they all are, right? Like, we've got to give credit where credit is due. But no, I think that's a very important thing that the five of us do unanimously together.
Absolutely.
And I think it's a great call out.
Now is the time, like I said.
I agree.
The state's supposedly flush with cash. I don't know what they're doing with it besides giving it to the cities, but, it's the time to get our hand in that pot.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Boston, a couple years back, Boston expanded their school day, and they said something like, "That's no big deal, it's only gonna cost like 17 or $18 million." And Aaron Mike Tropiano and I spent about 3.5 hours cutting $35,000 out of the budget.
I
I mean,
know.
the disparity is striking. And if Kathy Lenatra is getting a coalition of smaller town legislators together, we gotta be right there, kind of giving her our support and saying, thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Could we maybe just like add to the agendas, like liaison updates? I think I put that, like, just so that.
Yeah.
Well, that's
it
what
kind of,
it-
like makes us have to update you.
Well, that's why I was
all
saying
kind of thing.
sometime in October, or I was saying November,
But
Patrick
even in
said
general, for
October.
all the liaisons that were.
Oh, yeah, generally speaking,
Yeah,
for
just
all
so,
of the
so just so
different.
that,
It makes us accountable.
yeah, so
Yeah.
we have
Mhm.
to say the meetings we've gone to, or, you know, whatever.
Yeah, so
Just
do
since
you,
we can't.
So we have to take notes when we're at
So-
subcommittee meetings.
so let me just ask you this question before we, like, do you want, like, every month?
Yeah, yeah.
Every single,
Like the second meeting of every month, we would have a liaison update or something like that, or I don't know, it could be.
Right, and sometimes there
after-
might not be an update, like
Yeah.
PTAD doesn't
Yes,
always meet, so
yeah.
there might not be.
Like
a
I haven't had an
PTAD
update
Right.
for them because we haven't had a meeting, so.
okay, so we'll just put it as a general
It could just be,
agenda
it could
item.
just be under
On the second meeting.
Second
something.
meeting of the month.
Yeah, just having liaison updates, just so
good.
that
Alright.
we have to update each other. 'cause
All right, let's see
we
how it
can't all
goes.
one do everything kind of thing.
Let's see how it goes for the next, like, 2 months, but if it ends up becoming like too much, then maybe we do like a, I don't know, some sort of a written, something that becomes a public record that we can post. Like, or just because I don't wanna like overwhelm, we'd be here, all, you know, 10
Well,
o'clock
hopefully,
at night.
hopefully we don't have to go through like the entire agenda.
Yeah,
of
no, I
whatever
hear you,
meeting,
but
just, like,
let's try it.
Yeah.
You know, and see how it works, but, is that fair? Okay.
great.
Anything else? All right, so, do we have a motion to adjourn?
At 7:30 exactly, I will motion to adjourn.
All right, and second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Okay, the ayes have it. Have a good night. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.